I am a compass. I do not point to safety, only to truth. Give me a steady hand, and I will reveal a path. Give me a fearful one, and I will reveal its fear. I have guided kings and castaways, saints and thieves. If you listen closely, I will guide you too backward, through the storm I still remember. I was born in a room that smelled of resin and salt, where brass sang beneath a file and glass dust glittered in sunbeams. My maker was a patient man with ink-stained fingers and a scar that crossed his palm like a river. He turned a circle from brass, set a crystal above it, and floated my needle upon a jewel pivot so fine it hummed. A lodestone kissed my spine, teaching me the pull of the world, an invisible tug older than maps, older than kings. He placed me into a gimbaled wooden box, and the box into a case lined with felt. On my ring, he engraved a name with a burin's. Scratch, Selene. When the letters were done, he sat a long while without moving, as if he could already hear water climbing a hull, and the long, low vowel of wind across rigging. My needle quivered, finding north in the soft weather of his breath. The first hands that owned me belonged to a navigator who never raised his voice. Elias Ward carried charts that smelled of smoke and rain, and he kept a pencil behind his ear like a sailor keeps a charm. He spoke to me not as tool, but as partner. "Keep me honest," he said the morning we met, and I resolved to do so. The captain laughed at his reverence for a small brass circle, but when the harbor priest lifted his hand and blessed the voyage, even the captain's grin fell still. Ropes creaked, gulls circled, and the Selene eased her ribs against the swell. Out past the breakwater the sea opened like a book. Canvas climbed the masts, bellies filling with a wind that tasted of iron and promise. I rode in my gimbal steady as a heartbeat, while the deck tilted in patient arcs. Elias checked me by day and by starlight, his fingers warm on my case, his notes neat even when the lantern swayed. Men sang while they hauled, cursed while they scraped, slept where they fell. I listened to their stories and kept my silence, which is to say, I did my work. On the seventh night, a faint haze sprang up where the sky should have been most faithful. Stars blurred. The line between water and heaven went to glass. The Selene pressed on, and my needle held its posture, yet I felt a tremor in the worlds. Old pull, as if a question had entered the sea. It was the first sign. Few notice first signs. I always do. At first the haze was thin, a veil that blurred the horizon like breath upon glass. The crew muttered that it would burn away with the sun, but the sun did not rise clear. It rose bruised and pale, and the haze thickened into a wall that no star could pierce. I pointed true, my needle steady as always, yet doubt grew heavier than any storm. Men watched me with suspicion, as though my calm were treachery, as though truth itself could betray them. Elias traced my bearing again, and again, his lips moving in silent calculation, his pencil breaking in his grip. By the fourth day, their songs had soured into silence. Boots dragged across wet planks, eyes burned with sleeplessness. They blamed Elias. They blamed me. I heard them say my needle spun at night, though it did not. Fear needs no evidence. It feeds on whispers. They demanded we turn back, but the captain struck the rail and roared, "Forward!" His words scattered them for a moment, but fear is a tide, and tides always return. One night the sea pressed flat, as though every wave had been nailed in place. No gull cried, no fish broke surface, only silence. I trembled not from doubt, but from the earth's own strange murmur. For the first time since I was kissed by lodestone, I felt the world itself hesitate. Then lightning raked the horizon in silver claws. The haze did not scatter. It swallowed the light whole. Men cursed, crossing themselves, praying in languages their mothers had taught them. Elias gripped me tighter, whispering, "Show me." Just show me true. But truth itself had vanished into smoke. They sailed not by stars, nor by faith, but by me. And I, though steady, could not lead them out. For what use is direction when the world itself twists, when the sea becomes a mirror and the sky forgets its own face? That was the night I understood. A compass can point, but it cannot save. The haze did not break. It thickened until day was night and night was blindness. Then came the roar. The sea heaved upward, a wall of water clawing the stars from the sky. Men scrambled along the deck, voices shredded by the wind. Canvas tore. Like paper, masts groaned like bones. I spun within my box, not because I faltered, but because the world itself reeled. North vanished, east bled into west. The sea had swallowed direction, and still they cried out for me as though I could command. The storm. Water burst through hatches, flooding lanterns with hiss and smoke. The captain, soaked to the marrow, clung to the wheel and roared orders swallowed by thunder. Elias fought beside him, clutching charts that dissolved into pulp in his hands. Opened me once more, though rain smeared my glass and lightning drowned my needle. His lips moved perhaps prayer, perhaps curse. Then a wave like a mountain fell upon us, and the deck was no more deck, only sea. The Selene shuddered, timbers breaking, voices splintering into the night. Men vanished in foam, ropes snapped like whips. I was torn from Elias's hand, my lids slamming shut as water carried me down. The storm's roar faded into silence, a silence so vast it seemed eternal. Around me drifted planks, lantern shards, fragments of lives unmoored. My needle steadied again, pointing true in the dark where no man would follow. I had not failed, but I was alone. I lay in the deep, my needle faithful, though no hand remained to read it. Storms pass, men perish, ships scatter into memory, but a compass remembers, always. I sank until light was memory and pressure was eternity. Sand embraced me, silt clothed me, and I became a secret kept by the sea. Around me drifted the bones of the Selene, her timbers eaten by salt and time. Fish nested in her ribs, corals crowned her beams. I lay still, needle faithful, though no hand remained to turn me. Years thickened into centuries. I listened to the song of whales, the hum of currents, the silence of the deep. Storms raged above, empires rose and fell, but none disturbed my rest. I was forgotten, but I remembered. One day, centuries later, a new sound came metal on water, bubbles like laughter, the hiss of air. Shapes with glass eyes descended, beams of light cutting through darkness. They brushed sand from my case, their gloves trembling as my dial gleamed once more. I was lifted from the deep, carried upward into noise, into brightness, into a century that had forgotten the Selene, but still worshipped relics of its story. They placed me in a case brighter than any cabin, beneath lights that never flickered, behind glass that never leaked. A plaque told of voyages and storms, but it did not tell of voices lost, of prayers swallowed by the sea, children pressed, their faces to the glass, marveling at the needle that still turned. They asked if I had saved lives. I wished I could answer. I only told the truth. Men chose whether to follow. I endured the storm, the silence, the centuries. I was lost, yet I remained faithful. And now I speak not to sailors, but to you. A compass does not choose the path, it only shows it. The choice was, and always will be, yours. I have crossed centuries, carried not by sailors, but by memory. Now I rest not in cabins or chests, but beneath glass and light, in a world of engines and satellites. Ships no longer need me to find their way, yet I watch their captains still. And I see the same hunger in their eyes. Airplanes carve the sky, submarines cut the deep, rockets reach beyond the clouds. all of them guided by machines far more clever than I. Yet when their masters speak of certainty, I hear the same tremor. I once heard on the Selene, for no chart, no star, no compass digital or otherwise can quiet the storm within a man. I see men in glass towers, maps spread not of oceans, but of markets, of wars, of borders shifting like tides. They speak of strategy, of destiny, as though they alone command direction. Yet their eyes drift to me when they pass, as if my needle still holds an answer they fear. The truth is unchanged. I do not lead, I reveal. To follow me is not to find safety, but to confront where you already stand. That is the weight of truth. It does not flatter, it does not bend, it only points. Children still press their faces to the glass, their eyes wide with questions. Was it heavy? Did it save lives? I wish I could tell them that weight is not in brass or glass, but in choices. A compass can reveal, but it cannot choose. And so, it is with you. Every age has its storms, every heart its haze. I cannot carry you out, but I can tell you where you are. The rest is yours to decide. I am the compass. I have witnessed storms that shattered ships, silences that swallowed men, and centuries that buried their names. Yet I remain patient, faithful, waiting, for there will always be another voyage, another storm, another choice. And when that day comes, I will be here silent, steady, and remembering. I was not made to choose. I was made to point. Yet in the trembling of my needle lies a truth older than kingdoms. That direction is nothing without the will to follow it. I guided the Selene into storm and silence, but I did not sink with her. I endured. Now I rest beneath glass, but glass is not silence. I still speak to anyone who dares to listen. The question has never been whether I point true. It has always been whether you do. For storms return, ages change, but the compass remembers, always. And so I wait, for time does not silence me. I am only one of many. Other objects, other witnesses still remember. And they too will speak.